Hello. Welcome to our Instagram Live with the incredible watchmaker Kari Voutilainen. We are getting ready to have Kari join us. So I'm just waiting for him to join us here. And here we are. Here we are. Let me get him to join. There we go. Getting Kari right now. Just waiting for him to connect. He's connecting. And there he is. Welcome, Kari.
Okay. Hello, here we are.
Yes. Wow. Well, it is a great pleasure and a great honor to have you join us here via Instagram Live. We are here in Greenwich, Connecticut, and you are currently in Moitié, your atelier?
Yes, exactly. I'm sitting in my office.
Beautiful. Well, we love the painting behind you. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think, it's the whole wall is painted like that.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, we can get started. People have joined, and previously people have submitted questions that they wanted to ask of you, and people may submit questions during this, but we are going to wait toward the end of the conversation to address those questions. So they're welcome to submit them as we're doing, and we have people helping us that are going to record the questions, and we will share them with you towards the end of the conversation. So we have a really fantastic long history with you, working with you as a retailer, and our owner of Manfredi Jewels, Roberto Capelloni, had met you during, I believe it was your time at Parmigiani Fleurier, and continued to follow you and your watchmaking when you set out on your own in 2002. Mm-hmm. And I believe it was around 2005 when we signed on as your only retailer in North America. Is that what you're correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Nice. Well, actually, Roberto is here, and he would like to just step in and say a quick hello to you. Here's Roberto.
Okay.
Hi, Kari. Hi, good friend. You have no idea.
Hello.
You have no idea how happy I am to welcome you on this, and thank you. Most of all, I won't take up all your time because we have the expert with the technology here, but I want to thank you for making that amazing celebration for me, the 30th anniversary watch from Manfredi.
Thank you very much.
Really happy, and many of our clients are.
Thank you.
Thanks, and I'll let Rob put you through the ringer now. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. We're back, and Roberto was gracious enough to allow me to wear one of those 30th anniversary watches, his own personal watch, which is your 217 QRS model for this interview. So every now and then I'm lucky and I get to wear one. It's pretty fun. So I see in our records that the first watches that we received of yours were two of your original observatoire chronometers and one of your original chronographs. And I can tell you from when I was there was when I first started with Manfredi, but Roberto also remembers, how excited we were when your watches arrived, because your watches are rare, but those were really rare at the time. So maybe you can share with us a little bit about those early times and how you had the courage to, you had worked with other manufacturers, and how you had the courage to set out on your own as an independent watchmaker. That must have been a challenge, yeah?
But it was a challenge. I was working in Parmigiani from 19 until 99, and then I wanted to have a change in my life, so I went to the watchmaking school. They asked me if I would be teaching in the watchmaking school in Neuchâtel, and I was supposed to work half-time, but end of the day it was much more than that, and I didn't have any more time for me. So I did stay 3 years over there until 2002, and then I was thinking that what I really want to do, and I was thinking that I really definitely want to do my own watches and restorations and that sort of things. And I started 2002. Our kids, they were very young at that time. Our daughter only 3 years old.
Wow.
But I was thinking that that's perhaps the right way. And also what I was thinking that, because I saw around me independents turning depending what watchmakers that they were selling their companies. So I could see what did watchmakers like Daniel Hort and what happened Parmigiani when he also did sell his company. So I was thinking that when I start, I will remain independent. So I was thinking how to finance my career. So I was thinking that I will work for other companies first. So I was working a lot for other companies during the first years. So that was my mainly work. I mean, a lot of hours. It was not 8 hours per day. It was perhaps 16 hours per day. But
Sure.
like that, I did manage to have enough incomes from my daily work, and I was not depending on my own watches at all. So I could survive financially, and I could invest because that's also important by working for other companies, doing prototypes and assembling movements and so on.
Okay.
So that's what I was doing until. I mean, now it makes about 10 years that we don't work really anymore for other companies by doing that sort of work.
Wow. Nice. Yeah, so I believe that the watch that put you on the map for collectors was the Observatoire chronometer. And I believe it was you had found some new old stock Peugeot movements, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So
go ahead.
in that time, 2005-6, so that was the way I made my watches. But I saw very quickly that it's very nice, but if I want to see the future in the longer term, I have to do it by myself. It's the only way to survive, by making by myself, creating by myself, fabricate by myself, and to be really independent. And so I did continue with Epoch movements until 2010, and since that we have been doing our own movement. It took 3 years to develop.
Wow. So your original, when you developed your own movement, number one, I understand it does have a natural escapement, which is kind of rare for any watch movement these days. And so did that original Peugeot Observatoire chronometer movement, did it serve as any inspiration for when you built your own movement? And then maybe you could talk about what makes your own movement special and why you chose to construct it the way that you did.
Well, there are a few movements which are, I think, like iconic movements when we're talking about like a classical watch movement and their precision movement. It's a Peugeot movement, which is definitely one. There's one Omega caliber, which is in the same. They were doing these calibers for the chronometer competitions, and then Zenith has also one caliber, 135, which is exactly those three calibers are for me like iconic calibers for the precision purposes. So it has a big barrel, power, big balance wheel, and beautiful escapement and nice gear train. All the shafts are nicely done. The pivots are polished. They are hard. So of course, it gives the inspiration, but mainly my inspiration comes also from antique watches. I did a lot of restoration, like a Breguet pocket watches, those Valet de Joux complicated watches. And when you see these pieces that they have been surviving for 2 decades, 200 years, and they have been serviced perhaps, I don't know how many times, but when you see that they are, some of them, they like Breguet, those pocket watches, barrels are without pay after 200 years, and you start to ask questions that, okay, how it's possible? Because you might see some modern watches, they are worn out after a few years. And so it's also the matter of the construction, how we do the construction of the movement. So, and that's why our movements, they're not very slim. Our movement is 5.6 millimeter thick, but it has a real thread, it has a real pivots. The main plate is thick enough that the bridges are thick enough. We can, when we are putting hands in place, you can push the hand tight in place, nothing will bend. So that sort of things, and you have real screws. So I get a lot of inspiration from those restoration work and the work what I did in past. So that was my inspiration.
Right. Well, that makes a lot of sense, and we can see it as fortunately your watches work. It's very rare that we ever have any kind of a service issue with them, so you know it makes sense. It's great. So most everything that you're doing these days is based on your original in-house caliber from 2010, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Right.
So that's what we are using our caliber. So every time when we do a new things, for instance, if we are adding a power reserve indication or GMT, so it's every time a new caliber. So we don't do modules. So every time what we do is we make a new main plate that all the parts goes inside of it. So it's not like one module what we add.
Mm-hmm.
So it's every time a new caliber.
Ah, okay. Okay, that's interesting because most people would probably think you made that one base and then you throw a little module into it, but no, it's a full new caliber from the.
And
wow.
I think it's, well, first of all, I mean, for us, it's more intellectual work because we have to think and do the constructions, but also for the customer, it's much more valuable because it's the own caliber. It's not module, but we just swap from left to right. So it's different, and it takes time to do the construction as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can imagine. So do you have any, obviously, as we've just described, everything is a new caliber, and whether it's a power reserve or something to center seconds, we can talk about later. But do you have any plans for a new caliber that's something somewhat different from what you've done?
Oh yeah, of course. So we have a lot of, there's too many ideas, but we have to slow down because I mean, it's a like practical problem. Oh, it's also a nice problem, but my workshop, it's not big. Mm-hmm. So we are all together. We are 25 people in my workshop.
Okay.
So but I see what we can do. So it takes time to do a new caliber. So the construction is one thing, but then it's also the machining. Once we are machining the components, and then afterwards, after machining components, it's all the decoration, and then all the pre-assembling, assembling, and like today we are already busy with our daily work. So it's a challenge to add new things, and that's why we can't add new things. It's completely different story when it's a more industrial structure, which has hundreds of thousands of people working.
Right.
So then those companies, they have a prototype department and they can do things over there. But from us, it's more complicated. And at the same time, I don't want to increase my staff, but we are a bit more. But like last year, we did about a bit more than 50 watches, but we made 16,000 components.
Wow.
It's 8,000 pieces in steel. So all the pieces, we do the heat treatments. So it's a lot of components. Mm-hmm. And when you do some parts like pinions, you need to do much more because there's a lot of operations. And then you are setting up machines, and you need these pieces to set up the machines. And afterwards, they're no more good for the product. I mean, for the next operations.
Right.
Because you need to set up, and then that piece is like a trial piece, and then it's ready to the pin, and then you take the next one. So you have to produce more, perhaps twice as much more, and that's our like a practical problem that we are in the small scale, that it's not an industrial scale at all. So we are not able to do lot of new things at once.
Sure, of course, because you have, I'm sure you have many clients, us included, who are waiting for watches to be built. So it's a challenge for you to say, okay, am I going to focus my production on developing something new and devote that day or that week or that month of that machinery toward those new parts, or am I going to focus on fulfilling orders? And I'm sure it's a delicate balance for you. And it's interesting because to connect to what you were just telling us about and the machinery. So I was fortunate enough to spend a day with you at your atelier. It was about 3 years ago. And during that visit, you and I designed or worked on our Manfredi 30th anniversary limited edition watch. And so, but it seems like, and you took me to 2 different locations. So there was the one that the smaller atelier that is connected to your home. And then is about, I don't know, a 20-minute drive from your home part. There was another, which is your dial manufacturer and also all your CNC machinery creating parts as well. But it seems like every time we speak, you have something new to tell me about your organization in addition to your operation. I believe you told me just recently about a bluing or a steel bluing machinery that sounds really interesting to me and something that's interesting. So maybe tell a little bit more about the different parts of your operations and how they work together to make your awesome watches.
Well, today we have 2 persons who are doing construction, so they're drawing. Like my daily work today, what I'm doing, it's a split in my bench work. So I'm a watchmaker. That's what I like. The office work is I had to do, but it's not my passion. My passion is on the bench work, so that's what I like. I don't like to do constructions on the computer either, because I don't want to isolate behind of the screen. So we have 2 guys who are doing constructions, and then once the constructions are done, so I'm working also with them all the time. Then afterwards we have a mechanical workshop where we do produce the parts. Our mechanical guys, they do everything from the beginning until the end. So they take care of their machines, tooling. They do the machining. They do control the pieces, and today they are doing heat treatments as well. And then once the pieces are heat treated to hardening, tempering, so then it comes back to our workshop. I have invested in both these high-tech control machines, which are computer-driven systems. So they do control by themselves, and it's much better because like that they know exactly what they are doing, and they are also responsible for their pieces. So there's not somebody else controlling it because it's my piece. It creates a different responsibility for the work. And then once the parts are done, then we have a decoration. So there's 2 types of decorations. It's an aesthetical decoration and technical finishing. So technical finishing is all these polish the pivots, which are functional parts, polish the leaves of the pinions with a wooden disc and so on. So we're using these traditional machines, and like that we are able to create finishing. But of course we have to learn as well, because watchmakers are using these, but we don't learn these skills in the school. And I have found these machines, but there's no operation instructions with machines, so we have to learn by ourselves how to do them. That's a big challenge.
Wow.
But once the pieces are finished, then we do the pre-assembling. Pre-assembling means that you have a wheel and you have a pinion, so you have to put them together. Or like a balance wheel, complete balance wheel, it contains a lot of parts, like balance stuff, balance wheel, the stud, collet, hairspring, pins, and then impulse rollers. There are 3 impulse jewels. So it's a lot of parts you have to adjust and put it together very carefully and respect all the tolerances and respect all the measurements. So it's that's the biggest work is the pre-assembling. Once pieces are pre-assembled, then you put things together in the moment. the main time it goes on the pre-assembling stage, and then assembling and pre-assembling, and then once it's pre-assembled, then we do the final finishing of the movements, galvanic treatments, colors, and assembling. One watchmaker is responsible for the movement from the beginning until the end. So that's what we are doing.
Yeah, it's wow. Most people would just look at a watch and have no idea how, you get from point A to point B to have that beautiful creation, but it truly is. I mean, all those tiny little parts, it's a lot of work. And so you also have a dial manufacturer where you're making the dials. And one of the things that's really special, and we'll talk more about, is your the ability for every client to make a bespoke watch. One of the things that I love, and when you showed me there in your dial manufacturer, is the galvanic treatments that create the colors on the dials. And the amazing thing to me is that you've told me in the past, and we've done, is you can choose a tone, a color from Pantone, which is every color in the world, and you can create a dial to that color. So that's a really special thing that you do, and of course you also have a case manufacturer. So yeah, it is safe to say now that you have a fully integrated manufacturer. You can do everything on your own except for perhaps straps.
Yeah, it is true that today what we buy is hairspring. We buy that from Moser, from Precision Engineering, and we buy mainspring. There are 3 manufacturers of mainspring in Switzerland, and we buy them from Schwab-Feller. It's a family-owned company in Buren. So mainsprings are coming, and then jewels. So we have a few suppliers for the jewels. But there's one jewel that we do grind by ourselves. So we buy a Bosch jewel, and then we do all the angles for it. It's for the X-Camber for pallet, and we call it locking jewel. And we didn't find a supplier who was willing to do that. And then we were asking all over the world, all the jewel manufacturers, and then end of the day, there was a Japanese company who was willing to do that.
Wow.
But then we was thinking that's I think it was slightly too far away for that. And we decided to start to do it by ourselves. And so we have learned how to cut jewels and how to make that jewel in a precise way. It's very important that tool because that creates the angle of the draw for the pallet. So the angles have to be precise, and all the surfaces have to be polished and smooth and parallel and all that stuff.
Wow.
So we have learned that sort of things. And what else we do buy is straps. But all the rest we do that. We do all the movement components. We do dials and cases, buckles, and that's today something that it brings us it brings me the independence, but also it's a key. I would say sort of key for that to be reactive, and also for the creativity, because like today we are more free to try different colors and the future will tell. You will see things which will come in the future, that we have these ideas to do different things. But that's like a key today. But if you are depending on, and then the key for that, it's not only that to be proud that we are doing by ourselves, but it's also that once you do by yourself, then you can set up the criteria. If you are working with a supplier, you have to be happy with the supplier, and you have to be happy with the quality what supplier is giving to you. You can't ask more what he's able to do.
Right.
And perhaps he don't want to push, because otherwise he won't make any more money. You are pushing the quality too high. And he just doesn't want to do, because he's spending too much time by doing that, and he's losing his other customers because he can't advance with the production. But by doing by yourself, you are able to what you are able to do is you can push the quality up, because then it's up to you. And that what I can see by myself, that once you do it by yourself, push the criteria up, and also that once we do the small workshop, that everybody is responsible for his work. It brings a sort of a responsibility, and people are proud of their work. So you don't want to do just the minimum. You want to do the maximum.
Right.
Because it's your moment, it's your piece, and that's a big difference between our approach and the industrial approach.
Of course, no, that makes perfect sense. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you guys fared during the COVID crisis that we're still kind of dealing with. And I'm sure that you having your own ability, your own manufacturing was a great help, that you were able to continue when you were able to work. How did you fare with the COVID shutdown?
Well, but for us, we were closed 4 weeks, and during 4 weeks, but I was working every day. But our staff was, we did close for 4 weeks. Then we started the whole team at once again. But like for me, I did the things that I didn't have time to do before. And now our work continues as normal. Our case factory did work normally every day. They didn't close at all. And that was great because they did catch up a lot of things. So that was very good for us. And also like work, I have work, and our case manufacturer, they have plenty of work, and as well the dial factory, where they do dials and the supplier work for other companies. They have also work. So I'm very pleased that it doesn't really have an impact for our activities at all.
That's great, especially compared to the rest of the industry. So which models are currently available for order, like your regular pieces that if you called a retailer like me or called you directly, you would say, okay, I can make this watch, and it would take however long it would take. But which models are available?
So we have that our we call it Weintraub model. So that we are able to do. So we are doing that all the time. We have orders.
Yeah. So this is a watch that we just received that we have here at Manfredi. This is a wheat.
Exactly.
Beautiful blue dial.
Absolutely. So that caliber and then that watch can be personalized, different colors and indices, and voila, as we see here. So
yes,
that we can do.
This watch is one that that we ordered, customized from a client. It was a platinum piece, and the client wanted platinum and he wanted a silver dial, but he said to me, let Kari decide the gear shape patterns. And you came up with this combination of gear shape patterns, and this has become our favorite combination of gear shape patterns. It is a double sunray in the center. We have a basket weave in the subseconds, and then we have the traditional Paris nails underneath the indices and the numbers. And as you'll see, our Manfredi piece number 1 and numerous of our Manfredi pieces actually use this gear shape pattern.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Very nice. As well, very nice as well. So that model we are able to do. Then we have our GMT model, which has this another time zone indication at 6 o'clock exactly. So as we can see, the dials, it can be like here, it's more geometrical, perhaps a bit more modern. We can so as we do the engine turning, as the gears are in our workshop, so we are able to do different type of engine turning patterns. So the customer can have a choice, as you have seen, Rob. So we are able to do whatever, or like here we can do hand engraving. That's also possible. So what we wish in that case, that customer comes with idea. I don't do these hand engraved pieces, even if there's exhibitions like that beforehand, because it's too personal.
Yes.
But the customers are coming with ideas that I want to have something like here, the night sky or whatever. so or nature, or so there are customers coming with his own ideas and his own wish. But the GMT model, what we can do, and then we have our new models, what we are working today. So we have that reverse watch, what we have already sold out, but we are delivering for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But we did present last year.
Mm.
So it's that upside down that we can see movement on the dial side. So that watch we are delivering for the moment. And then this year we were supposed to show and to present a new model during the Basel Fair, but as there's no Basel Fair, so it has been delayed. But we have this model with the sensor seconds, exactly like that. Its case shape is slightly different. It's slightly smaller than bandwidth. It's 28.5, so we can say 28 or 29. It's in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It's slightly thicker as we have 3 hands top of each other.
Ah.
The dial thickness is the same. It's 0.8 millimeter. So it has that second hand which increases the thickness slightly on the dial side. And on the movement side, we have those driving wheels for the second.
So the case diameter for most of your watches is 39, but this new model is 38.5, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or if you round up, it's either 38 or 39, as you wish.
Yes.
But it depends what you want to hear.
Right.
But anyway, it's 38.5, exactly, to be precise.
Yeah.
And first we are doing 10 in titanium, 10 in steel. And in the future, we will do precious metals. But these 2 series, they are limited series.
Nice.
And then what else? I mean, then we are able to do unique pieces in case somebody wants to have something unique. So we are able to create a watch with a power reserve indication somewhere else and different type of GMT functions or something else, or date function in somewhere else. Or so we have been doing that sort of combinations for bespoke pieces.
Mm. Yeah, here's a bespoke piece with a different finishing on the movement.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting. So we have 2 new creations with a slightly different case and a center seconds, which you've not done before. And they're little details, but your traditional case has a more rounded bezel and more rounded lugs, but this newer case has a more of a concave bezel and a little bit more angular lugs, correct?
A little bit more, yeah, exactly. That's correct.
Which is
but
nice.
certain shapes, they are the same.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, people will see it and they will know this is one of your watches for sure. So for me, one of the most special things working with you and working with clients is creating a watch that is bespoke, and everything that you make is bespoke. It's not just you make the same. I mean, some of the inverse you did it a specific way because it was a very specific watch, but for the most part, everything that you make is customized and custom ordered, and which I'm sure presents its challenges. But talk to us about how you came to work this way, because this is really special and really unique that very few people in the industry do. So tell us about what your feeling is of why you're able to work this way and why you want to work this way.
Well, when I started as an independent, that was 2002, I was first thinking that I will make only complicated watches and work by myself and make only few watches per year. But I noticed very soon that it's not good idea in the way that to stay alone, it was quite lonely. And then when I was not in workshop, nothing happened. And then I found that it was too risky to make only 1 or 2 watches. So, but then it came to the time that I had some customers, they were asking that they would like to have watches which are more simple, not repeating watches or so on. and they would like to have something more special, that it's more personal, and and then and then it came that big pressure that people were like, okay, but this personal moment is nice, but can you do me that? I want to have a rose gold case, and I want to have a watch with a, for instance, blue dial. And the next customer that, yeah, I like that. The watch is beautiful, but I don't like blue, but I would like silver dial and rose gold hands and this and that. And I was thinking that actually that's, I mean, as I'm doing so little amount of, or so small numbers of watches, I think it's there's no reason to make a collection and remain very strict that it's like this and nothing else. And I was thinking that it's better perhaps to create a dream watch, because as we are doing so small amount, and that was the reason why I ended up, because I was thinking that we are creating something special for the customer, and he wants to have a fulfill his dreams and desires, that what he likes. So I thought that it's worth to go in that direction instead of remain strict and rigid. And in 2006-7, many of my colleagues, they said that you're completely crazy, that you're destroying your brand before you even created something. And but today I can see that I think that I have been in the right track.
Oh, absolutely. As I said, I mean, it's the most favorite thing that I get to do in my job. But on top of that, it makes it so special for the client. For example, we delivered a watch back in December. It was a gentleman's 60th birthday, and his birthday was December 1st. And that watch had 12 and 1 was Arabic numerals, and the rest was indices. It was very simple, beautiful black dial in platinum, 28 model. But that was so special, you know, and it's really meaningful to these people, and to have something truly bespoke. It's really the ultimate luxury, and it's a private reward. It's not like some of these mass market brands where if somebody's wearing it, you know, everybody knows it. It's really as Roberto would like to say, a private reward. So you're wearing something that really has some meaning to you, that's really special. And we love that. And that's why we wanted to work with you for our 30th anniversary, which was the 217 QRS model. That is the first #1 that we chose, the design, and we've had some different variations on it of the 8 pieces that were limited. So that has been a really great thing to work on with you. And that was a special watch because it was the first time that you did something with a date, which is really nice. Here's another. Here, let me go. Here's another one that we have here, which is, this is #3. So it's one that we do keep in stock that we have here, which is a beautiful red 12 and a blue subdials. And we have the beautifully finished with the galvanic, the gray treatment on the movement. But it's kind of hard to see here, but there is a retrograde date. And one of the things that was special about this that I loved, in addition to having the date, is that the date is geared. So on anybody who's had any kind of retrograde, where it's a retrograde seconds or even a retrograde date, usually the hand will snap back immediately. But yours, you geared it, so it actually glides back slowly, which not only is beautiful, but also mechanically, it must also protect the mechanism. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of parts inside.
I'm sure.
It takes time to do the construction. So you have to do the drawings and then prototyping and then machining and then do everything which is involved. But that's also the pleasure on our side to do that. So that's why we are very happy to do.
Yeah, and you did, of that 217 QRS, you also did 10 pieces in platinum, 10 in rose gold, and 10 in white gold. I still happen to have one here available in rose gold, and this was your own design that we saw. It's just a very clean design, and we will link in the bio to this watch on our website as well. But it's really beautiful. And the difference between this one and our limited edition is the case structure. So
Yes.
ours has the traditional 28 case with the convex bezel and more rounded lugs, and this one has the concave bezel and more angular lugs, a little bit more modern, but still both 39 millimeters. So a lot of nice variation there.
Exactly.
And here we talked about that hand engraving. This is a very special client ordered this. This is the Manfredi number 4. It's kind of hard to see, but this is a hand engraved, just like that other space dial that I showed earlier. This is a space dial
Yes.
that the client is getting ready to take delivery. He has not yet, but it's a really special watch. And again,
but that's exactly bespoke piece idea from customer, and then the customer gives the idea, and then engraver does the proposition, and it goes back and forward. And once customer is happy, then we will go ahead with the work.
nice.
And then the hand drawing it's okay, but when you see the real piece, it's something else, and that's always a very positive surprise, because the drawing doesn't have a depth, it doesn't have a colors, and if it's on the computer screen, it doesn't have the same colors, and it doesn't have the same feeling when you have a real piece. The difference is it's huge.
Of course, absolutely. So the customization options are pretty much endless, from the different gear shape patterns on the dial, from the color of the dial, the color of the numbers, the different colors you can choose for different parts of the hands, the attachments of the finishing of the movement. You know, it's pretty mind-blowing. I mean, you can see here there's more of a flat finish or a sandblasted finish. This was a special one where you actually engine turned the movement plates.
The movement, exactly.
Which was really special. And on the dials, this watch was this, I believe it was a lacquer, or was it enamel over guilloche?
That's a lacquer.
A lacquer over guilloche, but
so
you also do enamel as well. So
so we can do, as we call, the half enamel, so that the middle and the small seconds are enamel, and then under ours there is a metal part which is engine turned and has a color as well. So we can do half enamel, or we can do full enamel as well.
Right.
We have been doing green, dark green, black. We can do blue.
Wow.
Red.
Incredible. And you can see here on this watch, this is a model 28 Von Wheat, but here you have this is a model with only 2 different gear shape patterns, as opposed to this one, which has 3 different gear shape patterns. So again, the options are really endless, and that's what makes it really special to work in a bespoke manner and have something special for you. So it's great. Now, obviously, this has worked out, this choice, even though your colleagues, as you said, thought you were nuts. This has worked out really well for you, and you have won numerous Grand Prix of Horology awards. Can you tell us about what that recognition means to you and how that comes about?
Well, but I mean, we are I'm very proud of that. It means that when we think about that, the whole industry is taking a part, and there are some manufacturers. There are a lot of people, hundreds or thousands of people working inside. They have all these departments for the creation and the prototyping and so on. So, and when I see our workshop, that it's a small workshop, but we have a creativity as well, and also the execution that we have. I mean, I'm pushing the limits up. As I said before, that we can push the limits as we are doing by ourselves. So to see that our work is recognized, so for us it's a big pleasure, and we are very proud of that. I mean, we have won that the prize for many times for different type of watches, and it's really great. And of course, for us, but also on the customer side, when of course it gives the confidence for the customer that they can see, we are able to. I mean, it's in both ways. So we are happy what we see, and the customer will will be also proud of the watch that he owns.
Nice, nice. That is great. And here we have a message here on the screen. It said, "I'm very happy with the custom Vonk wheat that Kari and Rob ordered for me. Absolutely incredible. Thank you both." That's always nice. Exciting. So one of the things is your inspiration. I mean, what inspires you in your watchmaking? You've been doing this a long time and you still love it. That's clearly obvious. So tell me a little bit about some of your inspiration.
My inspiration, I mean, my inspiration comes from the past. I mean, what I have seen before, I mean, antique and old vintage watches, but it's also what inspires me. It's the nature, architecture, and then I have ideas when I go out and I do quite a lot of sport. Just like this afternoon, just before I was cycling. So when I do that sort of things, then my ideas goes out from the daily work, but then these creative ideas are coming. They're popping out. Doing my daily work when I'm working, I'm too much like an executive. I do execute the work, and I'm quite busy when I work. So I do organize the work beforehand in my head, and I do very systematic way. But when I'm free, when I'm not in the workshop, then I have a inspiration and the creativity takes the place.
Nice. Well, that's great, and I can see from where I've been to your atelier, and just that the part of the world that you live in, the nature is incredibly beautiful. You recently shared with me a picture of beautiful mountains and sun. You were hiking, and it's I can see you could get a lot of inspiration from that, because it really is a beautiful part of the world for sure.
Yeah.
So your daughter is a watchmaker, which you must be incredibly proud, and she recently collaborated with you on a beautiful pocket watch. Was that for the Only Watch auction?
Exactly.
Right. So does she plan to join you eventually at your atelier and take over the family business?
Well, but first of all, I have never. We have two kids, two children.
Right.
Our son, he is 25, and our daughter is 21 today. So I have never pushed them to do. I have always told to our kids that they have to have a profession, that they can feel that the Monday is the best day of the work, best day of the week. So that's the most important, that you're waiting that you can go to work, that you're not waiting the weekend, but you are enjoying. And that has been what I've been pushing. And our daughter, she was dreaming to work with the flowers and babies when she was small. But age of something like 15, 14, suddenly one visit in the watchmaking school, there's a period of the time in the year when they are visiting professional schools, and at that time she get addicted in watches, and then they, after one visit with my wife, they went to the watchmaking school. It was Saturday. She came when she came back from the school, as she was already disassembling a watch over there. She came to the workshop. I was working alone, and she asked, "Do I have a one movement?" So we had a one movement and pocket watch movement, and she spent the afternoon by disassembling and assembling the movement, and since that, it was like a declic for her, and she went afterwards a lot of like working experience in these watch companies which are around here, and then watchmaking school apprenticeships. And she did graduate last summer, and now she has been working since last October in Singapore, doing after-sales service.
Nice.
And so, of course, I mean, as a parent, I wish that she would join us, but that's also hers personal. But I think that might happen in the future.
Well, we definitely hope so. And that leads to the next question is, what do you see in the future for Voutilainen watches?
So I have been building my workshop all the time by thinking the future. So and that's also, first of all, that I'm independent. That's like that. When I'm independent, I can do what I want. So I don't have to think that I have to make as much as money now today. But I have been building my workshop. I've been investing. So I've been buying machines. Now we are independent. We have been doing dials. We are doing cases. So I've been investing all the time. We have also structure in our workshop that we have our own calibers. So we have like there's a substance inside of the company that it's not only that we are buying and we don't have a know-how. We have a know-how. We have procedures which are written. We know how to design. We know how to fabricate. We assemble. We have a lot of different type of calibers. A lot, and we are able to do this. So there's a lot of like a material already today. And then I have been growing, but very slowly. Like if I would like to push, we could do much more. We could, but I don't want to do that because I think when you do something rare, it has to remain rare. But it's also my personal work today as what life is not that long. I mean, but today what I do in my daily life is I do what I like. But if I would do more, I couldn't do any more my bench work. I couldn't do any more what I like to do. I wouldn't have any more time to talk with customers. I don't have any salesperson. I'm the only salesperson in my company, and I take care of the deliveries when watch is going out. So I'm packing the watch and shipping and looking that it's polished, and I'm putting the tape around the parcel, and my wife is making the papers. So I like that sort of things to do by myself. But if we start to do more, it's finished. I can't do these things anymore. And for the future, so I have been doing that. We have a structure that it can continue. Today I can go out for 1 month and things will continue because everybody knows what to do. So I don't have to be behind to look at are you working correctly or not, because we are small enough that everybody is responsible. They know what to do, how to do. I'm doing certain operations, but most of our people, they know exactly how to start until the end. So, and for the future, what I wish that we could keep on going in the same direction, and to do even more special and complicated. And I have a lot of ideas, but in the future we are able to do more, even more complicated stuff and special things. And that's what I'm dreaming of, but I have to be patient.
Yes, well, and I know that you do take orders for certain things, like one of the special watches from your past that I believe you still can make if it takes many years to get. But for example, your decimal repeater is a legendary watch, and do you still take orders for the decimal repeater?
Yes, we take, but the time is the problem. So
of course.
So and I don't want to, because it would be easy solution that hire more people, but then you end up having twice as much people as we are today, and in certain point comes the other problems that then we have to produce. We have to make more to be able to pay all the bills and so on. So that balance it's difficult to find.
Sure.
And today we have a balance that what we are doing today, because financially we have to be, we have to do fine. If we are not doing fine and we are not able to invest for the future, there's no future. So everything starts from that. We have to be able to make enough, like financially, that we are able to invest, to have a research, to buy machines, to buy new machines. And if we are increasing too fast, that might give problems. So that's why I've been very, very, very careful.
Yes, yes, I can understand, but it sounds like you're laying a very important groundwork for the future. So that's really exciting to hear. So one of the things that we did when we announced this, oh wait, we have some questions that we asked clients to submit. I see there's one here. Let's see if I can see this on the Instagram live. It says, okay, so from Borat Enargun, if I'm not pronouncing that right, I'm sorry. And his question from 25 minutes ago, he said, does he have a personal favorite? So do you have a personal favorite? I'm assuming personal favorite watch that you've made, or any of your personal favorites that you want to share?
Well, politically, as an artist, I should always say that it's the next watch which is my favorite. But I would say that it's my first watch which is my favorite, my pocket watch, because that's what I made when I came in Switzerland, and it was my colleague, Mr. Charles Mella. He was 70 years old gentleman at that time. I was 28, and he told me that you should make a watch. I was thinking, and I did know get known Mr. Richard Miklos, who was a self-taught watchmaker in German. And at that time there was no emails or like that, so I wrote a letter to Mr. Miklos. That was in 1991. And that Mr. Miklos, that if you accept that I can visit to your workshop and spend perhaps 1 or 2 days and to see how you are working and talk with you. So he accepted my request, and I went to Germany many times afterwards. And I did learn a lot, but I was getting really excited. And I was really enthusiastic to see that gentleman. He was doing his pocket tourbillons and chronometer escape and very fine work. But he was self-taught. He was a teacher in the school, teaching the metalwork for the boys. Nothing to do with the watchmaking, but and that gave me a lot of inspiration. And I started to make my first watch, and I finished it in 1994. So it was purely my pleasure. So I was spending my evenings at home in the workshop.
Oh,
I did create my workshop.
I see we have, I guess there's an hour time limit on the live. 1 minute 47 seconds remaining. I didn't realize that. This is the first thing. So what I can do though, so when we close down, we can start back up. So when we cut out, I'm just going to end the live. I'm going to restart the next live, and you can join, because I do have maybe about 10 minutes more. We do have some more questions submitted from the clients. Okay. So why don't we do this? I'm going to end right now, and then I'm going to restart again, and we'll finish up, and we'll pick up right where you left off. Okay?
Okay, that works.
Okay, I'm closing. I'm going to start right again. Okay?
All right. Okay.
Bye.